lost in and around the town of Altadena, about an hour northeast of downtown Los Angeles. They are mostly homes, and one of them was my colleague David Brancaccio's. He and Mary Brancaccio had owned the place for just 2 months and a day before it was gone. We thought what they are learning through all of this might be useful to others.
Until this moment, we'd only seen photos.
Oh, it's hard to look at.
The footprint of what was an 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom cottage is now a pond of fluffy ash, marshmallow-sized lumps of black char, and a chimney. What's that?
The post box. Oh, the mail inside it burned up. Oh, it's all just ashes. Who knows what it was?
The deed to the house?
Yeah.
The house on the left, the house on the right, also flattened. Now, we get others have it worse. We have some insurance, hopefully. Our kids are all self-sufficient adults living elsewhere. And since we only moved in before Thanksgiving, many irreplaceable things were being boxed for transit, but not here yet. But among the things that were here was a copper flask of water I got from the mouth of the sacred Ganges River while reporting from the Himalayas years ago. We placed it right here, so there was a mantle here over the fireplace. That's all burned up, so what I'm looking for is not going to be here. If we can get the money together, among the many questions keeping me awake is, where are we going to find a builder? 16,000 places burned here this month, and I know that replacing them will create enormous new demand up against limited supply for contractors. Then I learned the reality of that business.
Most people are remodelers.
Walid Delawari is a contractor and developer who does know how to build from the ground up and has been sharing what he knows.
Surprisingly, most contractors don't know the new construction side of it or the understanding of how to build with scale.
Scale, meaning someone with the skills to spin the plates on several builds at the same time, because I should rest assured any contractor interested in my modest job will be multitasking.
If they're helping 1 or 2 or 3 people in your neighborhood, making sure that they have the know-how to build that large of a property with
He will rebuild, but even a person of this skill, mortgage broker turned contractor and developer, doesn't know what it'll cost.
I just found out my slab is broken, so I have to pull that out. That price per square footage is going to easily change.
To get a long view from a wildfire survivor, I turned to Jeff Chemnick, who runs a nursery and private garden in Santa Barbara. You know the aloe plant? His place is called Aloes in Wonderland. His house was one of 220 lost in a fire 16 years ago, and he rebuilt something more fire-hardy in what's seen as record time.
2 years, almost to the day.
That stopped me. 2 years is fast. Jeff is a botanist who'd been a contractor, which helped him network for a builder. Again, the goal is good contractor.
Sadly, several of our friends sort of fell for the smoke and mirrors of contractors from out of town that promised new building techniques, cheaper prices. And price is certainly a consideration, but should not be your primary driver.
Did they end up with a house in the end, a deficient house, or did they really get scammed and didn't end up with a house?
Well, one of them, the contractor that he engaged, is in prison.
Meanwhile, back at the property, we need power in so many ways.
I look around and now all I see is all the hard work it's going to take to bring it back. And I'm wondering if I still have it in me to do it, if I'm still young enough to do it.
Who do you blame? The infernal wind? Climate change? Some neighbors are suing the electric company that kept its transmission lines energized near the apparent origin of the fire. Oh, and that copper vessel with the sacred water to bless the house at Thanksgiving? I spot it, covered in carbon, empty but recognizable. I don't see the top, but I see the rest of it here.
We'll have the second half of that report tomorrow. In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From 8 p.m., American Public Media.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast for the 5th of January. We're looking at a quiet day today. We should enjoy a good deal of sunshine. Temperatures topping off in the middle 80s this afternoon. Winds will be east to southeasterly at 10 to 15, increasing a bit by midday. Tonight, look for a few spotty showers. Nighttime lows 73 to 77. Sunshine with isolated showers tomorrow. Temperatures back into the middle 80s. There's a better chance of showers tomorrow night, 73 to 77, and partly sunny with a chance of showers Saturday, mid-80s. Rip current risk will be low to perhaps moderate at times, mostly on St. Croix today, especially on east-facing beaches.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And good Thursday morning, and welcome to another edition of Analyze This here on your NPR station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, WTJX FM 93.1. We're yours truly, Neville James. Another beautiful day in paradise, not beautiful around the world, in particular in the DMV. DMV, for those of you who don't know, that's the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. Unfortunately, we had a catastrophic situation that happened last night, where an airplane, American Airlines airplane, and a military helicopter apparently crashed over the Potomac River. And I think the number that we're hearing is 67 people in total. Haven't heard of anyone who survived it. Totally unfortunate situation. That, of course, there's a lot of politics, involved with it, because we are 11 days. This is day 11 of the new administration. People pointing fingers left and right. The president sending out late night social media posts without having all the information he need. But that's typical of him. So I guess he's a little bit on defense because people are blaming him for the extreme changes he made last week, which happens with a administration change, but nonetheless, it's unfortunate what happened. The most important thing is that we have families who have lost loved ones, families who are grieving, and that area there is a very dicey area to begin with. That DCE, that Washington Reagan Airport, for a number of reasons, right? It's a metropolitan area to begin with. And then you got, the politics and the fact that it is the nation's capital. Good morning, Madam Delegate. Glad to see you. So we're trying to ascertain what really going on there. Never anticipate something like this. So we got the delegate here. I'm sure she has been given some type of, at least a mini briefing as to what went down last night over the Potomac. So we'll let her situate herself and get more comfortable there. Morning, Madam Delegate. Stacey Plaskett. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you? Good morning.
Well, dealing with the fallout from last night with the crash.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Yeah.
Do you know how cold it is in D.C. right now?
What, 30?
Yeah, but that water has been cold. It's been snowing up there for quite a bit.
Wow.
So the past week we've had like 15-degree weather.
Mm-mm.
So
Wow.
that rescue operation is going to be pretty difficult.
Oh, I just read on Twitter that the rescue team that's underwater, which that's the notion that they're doing that. I mean, they got to do it. It comes with the territory, but apparently passengers still strapped. To the seats.
You see,
and all that.
a couple of members of the U.S. figure skating team were on the flight.
Seriously?
Yeah, coming from training, and
Oh,
their training
gosh.
center is in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, man. Well, so sorry to hear that. And we don't need that now. We don't need that at all, ever, as a matter of fact. But we're in a highly charged time, Delegate.
Can I just say, though, you mentioned Twitter. I don't know if your listeners know that, you have a completely different kind of persona on X. If they want to find a different kind of Neville James, they should follow you on X.
I joined Twitter strictly for sports,
Oh.
Then next thing you know, I lost control.
You a real commentator. I love it. I love it.
I'm a sports junkie, music, and politics. That's me. You know what I'm saying? But it brings out the bad side of me as well. But nonetheless, I got to. Sometimes I got out the things that I don't put on Twitter.
Yeah.
You got to restrain yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
you got a whole stream.
Yeah.
My staff say they can tell when it's someone on the comms team writing on Twitter. And when it's me writing on Twitter.
Exactly. But be that as it may, day 11 of the new administration. What's the temperature, man?
At least on my side of the aisle, the directive is to not get caught into the swirl of the chaos, to not allow ourselves to get pulled into that whirling dervish kind of tide pool of chaos, and to be very perspective about which issues we get ourselves into. Because everybody knew this was going to happen. They outlined in a 900-page document what they were going to do. People didn't believe it, and now here it is.
Project 25 is alive and well.
They're checking it off. They're raise the cost of prescription drug. Insulin cap was removed in a executive order on day 2. So our elders, those on Medicare, the insulin that we fought to drive down to $35 per month is now gone back up to whatever the pharmaceutical companies want it to be, $400 or whatever a month now. DEI, affirmative action, history, all of those things are off the books now. People have been fired. Programs will be scrapped. It's problematic. There's a lot of issues. We had a community meeting yesterday. We called an emergency meeting where my office was trying to give information to local government agencies, nonprofits, organizations that receive and operate through federal grants with this federal grant freeze. And one of the local agencies said they're concerned because in part of the criteria as to why they received some of their grants, it was that in categories that bump you up, you have to check off, and if you fit a certain amount of things, then you get preferential treatment. One of those is being a minority disadvantaged community. That is not allowed under the executive order. So quite a number of our grants may be questioned now as to the ability for those organizations and agencies that have it to be able to draw it down.
No, the administration sent out this memo on Monday afternoon about freezing federal grants, and then by yesterday it was rescinded.
it was the memo was rescinded.
The memo was rescinded.
The memo was rescinded because there was a judge ordered it stopped. There was a temporary restraining order put on the memo, and actions that were required under the memo by a federal judge in the District of Columbia. And in order to remove the lawsuit, they removed the memo. But the president's press secretary said that the underlying executive order, which says that you cannot have programs based on certain criteria, is still in effect. And they will be operating under that. And so we can see that there will probably be a review of quite a number of programs that they believe do not follow, if they controvert or go against the executive orders that were passed at the beginning of the administration. Those include immigration executive orders regarding immigration. So schools which have individuals who are undocumented in there, that's a problem. Programs, DEI, affirmative action programs, which also affect minority contractors, is questionable. Gender issues. There's an executive order regarding gender. There's executive orders regarding the Hyde Act and abortion, etc. So we'll see.
No, there was a offer that President Trump has made to federal employees, telling them if you resign by next week Friday, which I believe is the 7th, I'm going to give you 7 or 8 months severance pay. I want to play a clip here from Senator Tim Kaine with respect to that.
And they received an email that said, from the administration, if you tender your resignation by next Friday, we will guarantee you payment through the end of September, whether or not you show up for work. So,
is that does the government have the ability to do that? To your knowledge?
Well, it's an executive branch. They're federal employees under the executive branch. So is there a buyout under which he can do that? Does he have the resources of the funds within those agencies? We're unclear. The issue is, quite frankly, is that, President Trump has a habit of making deals with workers and then not following through on them.
Hold on one second. Let me pick up what I read there.
if you tender your resignation by next Friday, we will guarantee you payment through the end of September, whether or not you show up for work. So tender your resignation, and then, boy, it's just going to be a gravy train. You're just going to get paid for 7 months without working. The president has no authority to make that offer. There's no budget line item to pay people who are not showing up for work. This is a guy who made this promise to contractors again and again and again when he was a private business guy. Oh, come work for me on my casino. Come work for me in a hotel.
No. The question I want to follow up on though is you heard the reference to the line item,
right,
which requires setting aside of money to address a specific purpose or arrangement, right? To your knowledge, is that in the fiscal year budget for 2025?
Not for that. Now, each agency does have discretionary funds as well. And I don't know if their discretionary fund line item is sufficient to cover that. Senator Kaine doesn't discuss that, but that is an area under which an agency can redirect resources to where they wish under a discretionary line item.
How would this affect, him talking about severance pay and all that stuff, how would this affect pension and all that stuff?
That's the other question we have, is that does this mean if you're not at retirement age Are you losing your retirement? Did you not meet the mandatory age requirement to be able to then receive a retirement when you reach that age? It's a real concern. A lot of this, though, Neville, at the end of the day...
Is this private sector?
I mean, I'm sure this is part of DOGE, right?
That was the Department of Government Efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Elon Musk.
The Elon Musk created agency, which is to create efficiency in government.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I was going to say, at the end of the day, a lot of this is related to we are drafting a tax bill now. Mm-hmm. The president wants to create permanent tax cuts to certain corporations and individuals at certain income levels. To be able to do that, he's got to create more money elsewhere in the federal government. So these federal freezes of funding puts money back into the general budget. Removing people from jobs puts money back into the federal budget. All of this is to make sure that there are sufficient funds, because if you have to have pay-fors for cuts or for monies that, if you're giving money one place, you got to take money somewhere else. So he's trying to take money from workers, from programs, from social service programs, from things that are sustaining everyday Americans to pay for tax cuts to corporations and to billionaires.
Don't we have a balanced budget requirement by law?
Yeah, but when's the last time? We don't always meet that. That's why he wanted, under the Biden administration, for us to raise the debt.
The debt limit. Mm-hmm. What are you hearing with respect to that?
I've heard from Republicans that they ain't going for it, that they do not want to raise the debt limit to the extent that he would like to do it. And
there is going to be a need for raising the debt limit, though. That's just how government functions.
Well, if
we got bills to pay.
Well, it won't be with certain Republicans. It will be with certain Democrats. And the only way that those Democrats will go across the aisle to vote for that is if other concessions are made with regard to social service, other programs that they care about. So that's where the negotiation will take place.
No.
Remember, and the debt limit has to be taken care of in March, which is the same time that he wants to pass his reconciliation tax bill.
Let us get back to the rescinding of that memo. Do you believe, this is something that I'm thinking, that he's been warned by his conservative Supreme Court through intermediaries, what have you, that there are certain times when he goes too far, they're going to rein him in, to let him know you're not going to win this long game?
Don't know. That's a great theory. I don't know. There's a theory that says that he does the shock portion to shock our conscience in an extreme, and then do something less unconscionable to our conscience that still gets him where he wants. Like saying we're going to take over Panama, when really what he wants to do is to have the U.S. be the person that manages a new canal that Panama is about to put a bid out for.
Oh, that's what really going on?
That's what we believe.
Okay.
Or Greenland, you say you're going to take Greenland when what you really want is the mineral rights in Greenland.
No, Chip Roy has decided that he's not going to play ball with them how they want to play ball, and he's on the Republican side. Is that sentiment, does that actually have more traction? It's just not out in the public where folks are, because that's just how politics are. Politics is, where politicians are. I'm on the team, but there's certain things that I don't want to.
That's my red line.
Certain areas that I don't want to venture into.
Sure, we saw on that.
Like the AOC on our side.
Yeah, they have about 30 of those.
30, okay. We're talking with the delegate, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, here for hour number one. We'll take a break and come back and talk about how all of this impacting the Virgin Islands. Be back right after this.
WTJX, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands, is underwritten in part by Bank of St. Croix, offering Elevate Checking, a mobile banking app, and direct deposit. Online at bankofstcroix.com. Bank of St. Croix is proud to support public media in the Virgin Islands.
Analyze This with Neville James is underwritten in part by the Virgin Islands Energy Office, powering policies and programs for a more sustainable tomorrow. The Virgin Islands Energy Office, proud to support public media in the Virgin Islands.
Community is important on our islands. Manifest your support of community by keeping the informative and educational programming that you get from WTJX FM, your local NPR station, on the air. Show your support by donating at WTJX.org.
Weekday mornings are a juggle, sometimes even a struggle. Morning Edition from NPR News eases you into your day and keeps you company through the chaos of a busy morning. Hear interviews that give you context on the day's biggest stories, along with reporting and updates on the latest breaking news. Stay on top of the world with Morning Edition every weekday.
Morning Edition, weekdays at 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. on WTJX FM 93.1.
You know a good story when you hear it. Makes you feel, laugh, think. Sometimes you get a little teary. I'm Scott Simon, host of Weekend Edition Saturday, and each week we bring you stories from around the country and around the world. Stories that help you learn, make you smile, catch you by surprise.
We're back here on Analyze This. We're fortunate to have our delegate to Congress, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, serving her 6th term representing the people of the Virgin Islands. Yeah, seems like yesterday when you were congressionally wet behind the ears. And you're now a seasoned veteran, high profile and all stuff. I saw you and Jasmine Crockett trading barbs with Scott Jennings and them on CNN a couple weeks ago. Is
my little sis.
Yeah. Is Scott Jennings genuinely like that, or is he just agitating?
No, he's genuinely like that.
Yeah.
As he because
we have a friend in common. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Damon Thayer.
When we came, we came and sat down, we were sitting first, and then Abby Phillip came in.
The host.
You know who's a Caribbean girl.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Her family is Haitian.
Yeah.
And she looked at him, and as she was sitting, rolled her eyes, a little chips went off, and she was like, "Good evening, Scott."
That's Abby. No, he is a panel co-host, given how regular he is on the show.
No, he's a commentator, a professional commentator.
Yeah, because he's good for 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was
kind of
wondering.
like a Bakari.
Yeah.
A Bakari seller.
Sellers, okay. Now, Jasmine Crockett has increased her profile exponentially over the this was her first term last time or second?
Second. I think that's her second term.
No.
Now she's going to her third.
Going to her third. Okay. When you run the risk like you did 4 years ago when you were part of the impeachment committee, and then folks are worried. Constituents from that particular jurisdiction are worried. Oh God, they're gonna come after we know because of it all that. As a athlete, and this is just me talking to you about how you go about dealing with the opposition
as fellow former athletes.
Former athlete. When you're playing sports, you don't worry about them. You worrying about what you do. Right. And then let the chips fall where they may. Is that your approach in dealing with the administration right now?
My approach is balance. There is a public persona that is created by the many facets that we all have. I mean, I was a former prosecutor, and so that skill set is utilized quite often, whether it's in hearings or has been in an impeachment or being the ranking member of that weaponization committee. But I have other skill sets that other members of Congress know about that may not be in the public eye, such as an ability to negotiate, being a moderate Democrat, and that skill set is utilized as well. So, for example, when people say, oh, we're so worried about what's going to happen to us, Trump going to come after us, you know, I give them the example just very recently that, you know, when the Intelligence Committee is the only committee that the Speaker approves of every person on the committee. Those are not people that are voted on by the whole caucus or anything like that. And in this Congress, interestingly, there was no separation between the executive branch and the legislative branch, because the person who had been the chair, Mike Turner of Ohio, a Republican, Speaker Johnson got a call from Mar-a-Lago and said, hey, I don't want him chair. As a matter of fact, I don't want him on the committee. And he was removed.
Removed from it. That's what they call it.
Removed from the committee.
Intel. They call it the Intel Committee.
Intel Committee. HIPSI. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. My name was put forward. Speaker Johnson had my name. And Mar-a-Lago, President Trump didn't say anything. And I'm sitting on the committee, which has oversight over all of the intelligence, CIA, DIA, all of our, you know, FBI, others.
I got a joke for you, man. By the way, which committees are you on?
So I'm on Ways and Means. I'm on the Budget Committee, and I'm on the Intelligence Committee.
When we were growing up in St. Croix, back in the day, I don't know, Rafi kind of shouldn't gonna laugh about this. All My Children was the #1 show.
Oh yeah.
In the Virgin Islands.
Jesse, remember Jesse? Yeah.
it was
Erica.
It was so popular that they had to move it from that midday
It
time
came on
when
in
it
the
shows
evening,
in
it came on
the
after-
6 to 7.
Yeah, when
to
your
lead into
parents
the
came
news.
home. When your parents came
To
home
lead into
from
news.
work.
So as a young boy, you know, we were subjected to mommy there watching All My Children. And they had a man at All My Children named Adam Chandler. Right? So he was a bully. I had the same demeanor like a Donald Trump. They had a woman, and I know that the crowd probably freaking out, want to know what Neville talking about, how Neville know about this thing, right?
Because you had to sit there and watch.
I was forced to, right? They had a woman and All My Children named Brooke Chandler.
Yes.
And Adam Chandler made a statement about Brooke Chandler. He said, there's a reason why I love her so much. And he was talking to somebody, and the person said, why? He said, because unlike the other women, she's not afraid of me. So the question I'm asking, you just mentioned Trump could have removed, you could have still, whomever replaced Mike Turner in the Intel Committee. Look, if it's one person I don't want on that committee, is that woman from the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
He did not.
Is Trump one of those types where he respects you more if you don't cow down to read?
I don't know, because he can't stand Adam Schiff. Right?
Well, he can't stand a lot of them. Can't stand Kim Jong-un. Can't stand Liz Cheney.
Right.
But
did you notice his demeanor when he was with Gavin Newsom in person?
I mentioned that on the show last week. He didn't invite Gavin Newsom to meet him on the tarmac, and Newsom went anyway.
He went
I was pointing fingers at you and all that stuff, and then he tap you on the shoulder and tell you you're a good man and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Is his demeanor, I gonna do what I can to intimidate you, but then if you stand up to me, then I got to respect the fact that you ain't afraid of me, because I've dealt with that as a legislator.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what his personality is. I know that there are plenty of Republicans who rather deal with me than deal with a lot of other members on my side of the aisle.
Is that because you were once on the red team?
Probably because I was a Republican, but because I'm moderate, because I'm rational. You know, you talk about, I mean, Jasmine is a great friend of mine, but that's not my style. And I have to find ways to work with people.
Yeah, but you got fearlessness that the other side may not like. Their members on the other side may not like. They don't like the fact she comes from the Virgin Islands. They don't even get to vote on the floor. And
Sure,
look at
sure.
how she has this ability where she's on CNN and she's on
Right.
NBC
They
and all
don't-
that stuff.
They are, freaked out that I'm on Ways and Means.
Mhm.
That's not, there are Democrats who grovel, will do anything to get on Ways and Means.
Mhm.
And I've been on the committee for a while. But I think it's just doing the work.
Well, you're good.
People know that I come prepared. I do the work. I'm reasonable. I know that a good contract, everybody has to lose and everybody has to win.
What's the biggest difference between Ways and Means and the Budget Committee?
So Ways and Means creates the money that allows the government to work.
That's a tax committee.
It's a tax and trade committee.
Tax and Trade Committee.
So
Okay.
we do the tariffs, we do the trade agreements, we draft the tax laws that create tax credits, revenues. SALT is one that we're going to be working on.
This is a Charlie Rangel committee.
This is Charlie Rangel's committee. His painting is up on the wall. Paul Ryan's committee. Paul Ryan was the chair of Ways and Means. 10 presidents were chairs of Ways and Means Committee. This is where vice presidents and everybody
this
comes
is
from.
the most powerful committee.
It is the old boys club
in Congress.
It's the only committee that is outlined in the Constitution and has been around since the first Congress. So that is the committee where everything happens.
This is the Alexander Hamilton committee then.
Yeah, he was never a member of Congress.
But when you look at it from his creation,
Well,
the
Treasury reports
banking,
to us.
The banking.
Yes,
he
Treasury reports
created
to
the National
us.
Bank, so
Treasury reports to the Ways and Means Committee. So we create the money, and then the Budget Committee approves what the budget will look like. OMB reports into the budget.
because of this powerful presence that you have on these important committees. You said Intel oversight. You said oversight? No. Ways and Means
And budget.
And budget. Are you also, in addition to representing the Virgin Islands, are you also, by extension, an insular possession representative on these committees?
Sure. I see myself as not just, all of the members of the territories, we try to meet regularly. And, okay, what are your needs? What are your bills? What are your, Amata Radawagan, you're on armed services. This is what I need on armed services. You're on natural resources. This is what I need on natural resources. So that we can share.
So there's networking.
So that we
There's
can
legitimate
support each
networking.
other. So that we can support each other. But really, Neville, when I'm on Ways and Means, of course, the Virgin Islands comes first. But I really see myself there for people who don't have a voice, for disenfranchised individuals, for communities that don't have someone to speak for them, that are not going to be at the table for them, because that's who I am. That's my background. I was talking the other day to someone about, I'm in Mali before a coup on the Intelligence Committee. Last week, I was at Davos at the World Economic Forum.
That didn't go well for the U.S. based on what I
No,
heard.
it was really bad.
Yeah,
it was really bad.
and
It was kind of like Europe against the United States. That was the fractionism, tribalism is really taking place.
I saw the president made an appearance there.
It was terrible.
And instead of focusing on the world economy, he got into the politics and all that stuff. It wasn't well received at all.
No.
Not that he cares.
But that was the sentiment the entire week was European nations kind of like, how can we insulate ourselves? How do we band together more effectively against the United States?
And that's not in our best long-term interest.
No, that's not how multilateralism, that's not how global economies continue to grow. And they're concerned because the American economy is like gangbusters. Our productivity rate is skyrocketing. Our GDP is much higher than the rest of the world.
Economically and numerically, the previous administration made America a dominant force globally.
Incredibly.
I'm hearing other countries praising the American economy.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the perfect segue. But it hasn't trickled down like it should have to the masses. And we saw that in November.
Let me just say, sitting at the World Economic Forum, I've got on one side of me the president at a lunch. The president of Iraq is sitting on one side of me. The editor of Foreign Policy magazine, Tony Blair is the third seat over from me. I'm across from the world heavyweight champion of Ukraine, talking about Ukrainian issues.
Klitschko.
Yes. His brother, the mayor, is at the table. And Jamie Dimon is at the next table leaning over. And
I went
Rock
to one of
on
those
the
forums.
other one.
Me and Wayne Biggs went to one of those forums in San Diego.
And all
Ali Bashar, that's his name? Ali Bashar?
Yes, yeah.
We met him in San Diego.
But all I could think was, look at this girl from Kennedy and from Bushwick Projects is sitting here, right?
Everybody come from some place, man, and that's a good thing about.
And you got to remember
story.
that. You got to remember when it's my time to speak, I got to speak for those people.
That's right. One of my listeners, Terry T, said, "Man, game knows game, don't test." Right? That's why they're careful with you. And he said, Abby Phillips is a Trini, by the way.
Oh, Trini. It's a Trini.
Okay, good.
I know it's our girl Joy Reid is Guyanese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Her dad is from the Congo, but her mom is Guyanese.
So wait. This part of the world really is a special part of the world as it relates to creating brilliant people in different.
Yamiche Alcindor is Haitian.
That's right. That's right. She did with NBC now, right? Because she was with NPR for a while, right?
And I don't know what Corinne Jean-Pierre is going to be doing, but I'm sure it'll be something
She's Haitian,
fantastic.
right?
Yes.
She's Haitian. Yeah. They said she got like 2 degrees. Somebody was talking about her professional dossier. 5 campaigns. She ain't no play.
No.
Okay, good. Over the weekend, we saw ice rolling on certain areas in the Virgin Islands.
We've put out
what's your take on that? Because we're a small community. Yesterday I had the governor on, Jimmy Weber, call in and said, "Governor, we're feeling the impact of it. Kitchens and hotels, people ain't showing up to walk.
Sure, schools,
service areas, schools, even construction." And they warned the president about this, in particular in Texas. They said 500,000 workers, construction workers in Texas, I read this on NPR, I'll find it, are illegal immigrants. So not that I'm condoning illegal immigration. I'm not. But because it's like a spoiled child syndrome, you allow it for decades.
Right.
To want to now use it as a political platform. You're successful. But then it's one thing to campaign, it's the next thing to administrate. And we're dealing with the realities of hardline politics impacting how we function as a people.
Well, remember, before the election, there had been an agreement made on an immigration bill that would have closed and created tighter restrictions for individuals coming in, but would also make a pathway to legality for individuals, whether that's through permanent residence or through naturalization, and particularly for the dreamers, young people who came in as 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds. They don't have they have no way to stop their parents from bringing them here, and they're now integrally related into our society. So we have to be concerned about what's the path forward. Ronald Reagan created an amnesty program that allowed individuals to be able to come in and to register and be made legal, go through the legal pathway. And that's what we need to do. Everyone said, I thought it was so telling that before the election, many people who were supporting Trump, who were of immigrant families, were saying, well, he's only going to get the criminals. And then, we have the president's press secretary saying that if you're here in the country illegally, you're a criminal. That in itself is criminal. It's actually a civil charge, but they're saying it's a criminal charge. And so we have put out...
But I'm focusing on the reality of what's going on here.
The reality is that we have schools where children are not coming to school, which will be problematic in terms of their learning and their ability to function. And we have workers who are not going to work. We've put out in Creole...
Stop right there because I don't want to start and then I got to interrupt you. So we'll pick it up. What you put out with respect in Creole. And by the way, thank you, Marcelina Ventura Douglas, for that last question. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
The Forum presents the Eloisa Fernandez Piano Quartet, where the elegance of classical music meets the vibrant rhythms of Brazil and the freedom of jazz. Saturday, February 1st at the Prior Jolek Hall Antilles campus. Courtyard opens at 6 p.m. and the concert starts at 7 p.m. Embark on a journey into the world of Brazilian pianist and composer Eloisa Fernandez. Tickets available at theforumusvi.org or contact Nicole Parson at 646-725-3353. This is the WTJX-FM Community Calendar. Project Promise VI's 9th Annual Havana Nights with a silent auction fundraiser, a night at the Oriental Racetrack, happens Saturday, February 8 at the UVI RT Park beginning at 6 p.m. Proceeds benefit all Project Promise VI programs, 340-513-0446. And if you'd like your event aired on the WTJX Community Calendar, please send it at least 2 weeks in advance to news@WTJX.org.
Is back, and this year we are celebrating 10 amazing seasons. From the waters of New England to the mountains of Utah, all the way up the West Coast, the country's most exciting chefs and food artisans join us to fish, forage, dive, and dig for the best local ingredients and help us create some unforgettable feasts. So please grab a plate and join us. You don't want to miss it.
Tune in Fridays at 4 p.m. on WTJX TV Channel 12.
Human beings have been making music for tens of thousands of years. It brings us together. It has the power to communicate emotions and ideas. It's a profound part of the human experience. Hear the stories behind the music you love and new music you might fall in love with. I'm Raina.
And we're back here to analyze this, and we've got Delegate Stacey Plaskett joining us here in the studio. You were mentioning something about Creole?
Yeah, so our office has put out a Know Your Rights for individuals and just letting them know with regard to any kind of immigration raid that may take place or approached by ICE or any of those officers, what to do. And we have it in Creole, in Spanish, and in English that we're going to be putting in stores and stuff.
So you got Epi Moy and La Jamoy and all of that.
Yep. Yeah. We need to.
Yes.
We need to.
Because they're part of the community.
Yes.
We can't ignore that. Okay, so let me read this real quickly, and then I'll let you break it down. In 2022, more than 500,000 immigrants worked in the construction industry, according to a report by the American Immigration Council and Texans for Economic Growth. Nearly 60% of that workforce was undocumented. So that's over 300,000. Quote, the state needs to leverage both U.S.-born and immigrant talent to fill construction jobs that power the Texas economy. It's not remotely practical to round up and deport everybody, said economist Ray Perryman, the president and CEO of the Waco-based Perryman Group. He said the reason Texas needs so many immigrant laborers is simple. The Texas workforce isn't large enough to keep pace with its growth. Like Marek, he worries that a massive roundup could have a chilling effect on the Texas economy, and we simply don't have an economic structure that can sustain that. There are more undocumented people working in Texas right now than there are unemployed people in Texas. So when you process that reality, right, and this is just limited to Texas, I'm sure this is there's a microcosm of this throughout the country.
Sure, California, Iowa,
you name it. So so I understand the politics successful for the president, but he himself said, and I played this clip earlier, that I may have made grounds on the border with immigration, but 70% of the reason why I win is because of groceries. If that's the case, right, then the economy and the cost of living coming down is more important, based on what he's saying, than his political, foundation of close the border, they're taking black jobs, all that stuff.
Right. Well, the demonization of an individual or groups works in politics, right? And he was very successful at that. but because the statistics don't bore out what he was trying to say. Illegal immigrants definitely commit less violent crimes than anyone else. You're illegal, you're trying to keep quiet, you're trying to stay under the radar. You don't want to get in any trouble.
95 to 98% of you are. We have that.
Of course, there's a small element.
There's always that element who will always fraction, and it's innate.
It's human nature, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the percentage of all U.S. citizens that commit crimes? Much higher, right? And we know that our economy is fueled by, and there's a necessity for individuals who will do jobs that American citizens will not, whether that's in construction, whether that's in food processing plants, whether that's in migrant workers working in farming. That plus the tariffs are going to have a tremendous effect on the American economy. And there's concern, the bond market is showing it, that there may be inflation right around the corner because of this.
Let me ask you this question, because people probably saying, well, this is a local show, why they attacking federal? Well, you're a federal employee for the people of the Virgin Islands, right? Locally hired federal employee. I think that's a good way to coin it.
And I have to respond to federal issues.
Okay, good. As it relates to the Virgin Islands and our grants and all that stuff, you personally, based on what you know, that you can't necessarily divulge, are you concerned?
Sure, we have. I've been texting with local agencies and nonprofits that their grants are frozen right now. There are freezes on their grants. I'm texting them this morning. Is it unfrozen? No. So some of them, the reason...
So they open the freezer is what you're saying?
No.
The freezer still...
Yeah, the freezer is still there.
Still parking.
It's still there. Mm-hmm. And what are the reasons? Some, it says DEI. They received questions about DEI. Some, it's related to gender issues. Mm-hmm. These, organizations which are supporting women. Some, it's related to a lot of our TAP grants, which come from the Office of Insular Affairs. That entire mechanism was frozen. So it's going to affect us. Like I said earlier, one of the criteria we use to actually get grants is that we are a minority disenfranchised community. Trump says, there's no discrimination that's been done against you, and that's unnecessary at this point. So we are at a loss in that respect. So what I've told a lot of these agencies and organizations that may have been frozen is to let us know. We are putting together a list. We are going to advocate to unfreeze it. If it remains in effect, we'll put them in touch if they want to with larger groups that are going to be fighting this, class action lawsuits that are coming forward to fight against the freezing. The president does not have the authority to freeze or take away money that Congress has appropriated. He may be able to pause it under the impoundment, but he cannot indefinitely take it away.
Which brings me to this question with the diehard Trump supporters in Congress. All politics is local. So his hard line across the board, sentiment and stuff, the reality is you still got to deliver for your constituents in your respective districts. How are they going to balance that?
I don't know. I don't know how they have balanced it, because a lot of the policies that the president is against, whether that's Medicare, healthcare issues, SNAP programs, benefit those constituencies more than it does in blue districts.
You went right where I wanted to go. The president trying to tie voter ID to making money available for California in the aftermath of the natural disaster. The reality is California pays for the existence of about 20 states with the amount of economic activity taking place in California.
And the taxes, the federal taxes that they put
the dollars, let's just be very straightforward. The dollars that they bring into the federal coffers covers 20 states easily. Mm-hmm. Right,
and those states are probably the poorest states, which are red states.
Exactly. So you can't ignore, and that's what Adam Schiff was saying when Katrina got hit. We didn't condition support for Katrina in the recovery, which is where I wanted to do, because we didn't recovery mode still here, right? The governor stated Monday night, all of the dollars obligated. Obligated is one thing. Actually getting them and spending them, that's another discussion. Okay, you got to deliver the goods. You got to show the ability that you have to show the legitimacy of how you're spending the money and all that. That balancing act.
Well, I would say that we have obligated the money, and that's a great thing. But I think what he didn't mention also was that the cost share that we received, that was from Shalonda Young. I urged our governor to meet with Shalonda.
You're talking about the reduction in the cost share.
The reduction in the cost share, which has put us we've got $22 billion. Under normal circumstances, we would have to pay 10%.
We don't have 2.2
The Virgin
billion.
Islands, right. The Virgin Islands has to pay 2% of that cost share. And that was done by Shalonda Young.
So 2%, 440 mil.
That's nothing in comparison.
Relatively
right?
speaking, small.
But we have to do it in 10 years from the president signing that. So we are up against a clock. And that clock was put in there because we have been slow in our recovery.
10 years from February 18?
From when he signed, from when
Biden
signed the cost share waiver.
Okay.
So that would be last year.
Okay.
So we've got 9 years to make sure that we spend that, or the number goes back up to 10% that we have to pay.
Some people thinking, well, 9 years, everything should be in place by then. Recoveries last much longer than.
How are you going to build?
Not much longer. They have been known to last long.
Well, think about it. How are we going to have...
Katrina was 20 years ago, and they're just now catching this.
Do we have the manpower to build 20-something schools?
Man and woman power. And woman power.
Yes, people power.
Yeah, people power, yeah.
Do we have the personnel and the resources, the
materials
to build
Monday,
hospitals?
A lot of the workers at the Richards, some of them didn't show up because of this ICE thing. So that means that undocumented labor is actually a real issue.
It's a real thing.
A real-time issue in the territory.
We've got to rebuild our underground mini... our micro grids. We've got to do our whole wastewater treatment centers, all of that. I would say that the state of the territory is stagnant because we have not, our production is not as fast as it should be. That's the reality. To me, that's what I hear from people on the ground. That's what I see going on. Is that fair? I'm not trying to be fair or not fair. I'm trying to say what I see. And, we have been listed by HUD as a slow spender. And that's not a good thing to have a red line that says that, in areas of spending housing money and et cetera, that we're slow spenders. Because as we see, this is a president who needs money to pay his boys.
The tax code. Let me ask this question. The extremists out there who say, well, he could sell we, because he want Greenland and all that type of thing, right? Now, I know a little bit differently. Plus, I just refuse to be intimidated into that type of thinking.
That's ridiculous.
Right? Not only is it ridiculous.
Well, the process by which it could happen.
No, but exactly, it takes forever. And we have friends on the Republican side. One who actually voted against Hegseth the other day. Mitch actually voted against Hegseth, which I believe was actually a resounding, symbolic. You got more to come, and I hear he in there with Kennedy neither. I heard that yesterday.
Oh, really?
Right?
I wonder, what do you think? What's the guy who's the doctor? The guy who's the doctor, right?
One from Kentucky?
No,
Paul?
from Louisiana.
Well, Kennedy?
Not Kennedy. The other one. Is it Tillis?
Cassidy?
Cassidy.
Yeah.
Bill Cassidy. Asked him some questions. He didn't even know the difference between Medicaid and Medicare.
He didn't. Look, that was bad. That was bad. But here's what I was saying. We have some trump cards, pun intended, as well, as does Puerto Rico, right? John Paulson, this big, rich guy, they benefit from our tax exemption laws that allow for us to generate revenue and create economic activity. Those policies have value.
Yes.
So aren't those counter arguments that we can use to allay this extreme concern? Well, he will give we up because we're people of color. And
I think they also forget to recognize that in this area
and strategically.
And this is that's where I was going to go. That based upon my work on the Intelligence Committee, listen, the United States is opening up 3 more embassies in the Caribbean region that haven't done that in 30 years.
And educate the public.
Sure, there's going to be a new one in St. Lucia. And they're looking at 2 other locations, probably Guyana and somewhere else that there will be embassies, because this region is becoming increasingly more important to the United States in its great power competition against China. And so to give up a stronghold like the Virgin Islands with our deep water ports, with our strategic location, that's not going to happen. Right now, there's a study being done by the Department of Defense as to which island, whether it's St. Croix or it's Puerto Rico, will be more important in terms of using military, having a stronger military presence because of what's happening with China in this region.
Is this China rhetoric that he using genuine? Because on one hand, he tries to knock anybody, blame people for having a relationship with China, but at the same time, he praises Xi.
Well, he praises the personality, but is concerned about the economy,
but
the Chinese economy.
But he does business in the Chinese economy.
Yeah, that helps him personally, but he's concerned as well about their ability to outcompete us. But we know we have to have continued engagement with China. That's just how it is, particularly with our meat, pork. They're the largest importer of U.S. pork. Other things that are in our commodities, particularly with our farmers, are needed in China, as well as some of the materials that we're receiving from them.
What's the deal with
But the one thing I would say, never mind Trump, members of Congress understand the importance, and they're the ones who are even more hawkish on both sides of the aisle against China and its competition with the U.S.
Finally, where we at with the rum cover over?
The rum cover over, we are working. What has happened in the past that I've continually tried to explain to people is that the rum cover over moves with other rum tax extenders, whether that's research and development for pharmaceuticals, for manufacturing, etc. And there has not been a tax vehicle. This year, there will be a new tax bill because the old one expires. And all of these tax extenders will be discussed at that point. I went back, I met with GERS 2 days ago, and I was explaining to them 10 times, Neville, since 1999, we have had the rum cover over expire. And then a year, in most instances within 2 years, 1 year it was 5 years that it had been expired. And then when it is reauthorized, it's retroactive to the time of the expiration.
So we're looking at potentially some monies that we didn't collect in previous fiscal years
coming back to us.
But they true up. That's the term that I use. Delegate, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you. I love your hat.
Yeah, man.
What's going on underneath the hat?
My old age. I got them, man. I got them. They're growing.
Sometimes us women, we put a hat on or wrap our head when
we want to.
Right,
yeah,
things ain't right.
I go to the hairdresser. I'll put it that way. Thanks a lot for being here. Looking forward to having you on again.
Thank you.
And continue to represent the people of the Virgin Islands. We didn't get to talk about Jennifer Colon. All right, your partner, who's the governor?
Who's the governor of Puerto Rico
now. So we'll do that at a later date. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks
That's
so much.
Stacey Plaskett, Delegate Stacey Plaskett, Congresswoman representing the people of the Virgin Islands. We'll take a break and be back with our two-number guest.
Hey, it's Peter Sagal from Wait, Don't Tell Me, where we invite only the most professional and accomplished panelists to make sense of the week's news.
I would say it's either someone having a rough time in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Or someone having a good time in the cockpit.
Join us every week for the hottest takes on Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. on WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
Ready to put the pedal to the metal? Go full speed ahead with MotorWeek. Whether you want a cleaner commuter, a family-friendly hauler, or to keep your drive running longer,
this is actually a great trick for extending the life of your engine.
Our experts have you covered. Hit the road, track, and trail with us every week. I'm John Davis. Never miss a mile of Motor Week.
Tune in Saturdays at 3 p.m. on WTJX TV Channel 12.
Good morning. This is meteorologist Russ Murley with your WTJX local forecast for Thursday, the 30th of January. We're looking at a quiet day today. We should enjoy a good deal of sunshine. Temperatures topping off in the middle 80s this afternoon. Winds will be east to southeasterly at 10 to 15, increasing a bit by midday. Tonight, look for a few spotty showers. Nighttime lows 73 to 77. Sunshine with isolated showers tomorrow. Temperatures back into the middle 80s. There's a better chance of showers tomorrow night, 73 to 77, and partly sunny with a chance of showers Saturday, mid 80s. Rip current risk will be low to perhaps moderate at times, mostly on St. Croix today, especially on east-facing beaches.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
I can't help myself whenever I hear that WTJX tag. I got to download the song so I can hear it a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Morning, Des, Spyro J-Rock. You know how it is. I want to thank the delegate for joining us in our number one. I was looking forward to talking with her down the way. We got now in the studio Miss Diana Diaz and George Cannon III.
Yep.
Joining us here in the studio. Well, the morning dance plays in the background. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Why are you doing here?
We're good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
I like that music in the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. I love it. I'm addicted to it. So how you been? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Even though February is Saturday, time flying. So
I feel like this has been the longest month ever, though.
You think so?
Yes.
How you been acting? I've been doing everything.
Well, definitely we've been doing our thing, but not only that, but just in the news. I'm just saying, it just seems like a long month.
Well, formally introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, sure. My name is Diana Diaz. I am co-founder of Blue Tarp Productions.
Yeah, my name is George Cannon III. I am a co-founder of Blue Tarp Production, director of the Film Over Gun Violence program.
How's the program coming?
The program is coming along very well. So, first of all, I want to thank you for always having us on the platform because you guys were there when, we were doing our first screening, which is now over a year ago. This past December 20th, we did our first screening for the Film Over Gun Violence program. And it was at the Caribbean Cinemas movie theater. So our films were on the big screen, and we had the whole place packed to capacity where we had to do 2 screenings of the film. The kids got standing ovations. It was an amazing experience for everybody. So we're riding the high of that, and
congratulations.
Yeah. So we're super excited about where this thing has been and where it's gonna go. So
how long is the film?
There's 2 films. One is called Bulletproof Dreams, and that one is 12 minutes long. And then there's a second film called Fall, which is a 24-minute runtime.
Yeah.
Bulletproof Dreams.
Yeah.
And Fall.
What's the next one?
Fall.
F-A-W?
Yeah,
yes.
Like the season.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the first one is 12 minutes, and the second one is 24?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Any actors you want to give a shout out to now?
Go ahead.
For their performance?
Go ahead, Miss Diana.
Well, we have a lot of actors.
Pull them up.
Let me pull them up.
Yeah, she pulls them up on the start, right? So Fall, I want to shout out one of our main actors, Deshaun Bates. Young man, we call him Crucian B. Jordan because he's the new Michael B. Jordan. So he was the star of Fall, and he did a wonderful job. And I would say for young men, it was hard for us to cast for young male actors, because I feel like we have this tendency as men to think that, all right, acting isn't a thing that is necessarily cool. Deshaun was able to, come out and really give his all to the part, and I think that it showed in the film, and he did an excellent job. The other one I'd like to shout out is Nicole Golden, who was his co-star, because Fall is a romance, so the two of them had to, be in the romantic film. Nicole Golden did an excellent job. All of the supporting cast did good. Shout them out when you get everyone's names, Diana. And then for the other film, which is Bulletproof Dreams was so the film of gun violence is a summer program, and the young people in the summer program wrote Bulletproof Dreams, and they created it. So along with our team of educators, the Blue Tart Productions, CMCA, and the Center for Educational Growth, which is a hybrid school run by my mother, Sandra Cannon, excellent school. We were able to teach the kids about gun violence, and then also produce a film about gun violence, and that was Bulletproof Dreams. So that one was created by them. So I want to shout out all of those young people. Delmari, who is now, he graduated, he's now in UVI.
That's good.
Yeah. So Priya, young lady Priya, who goes to Country Day, she now wants to go to film school now. We have Nazira goes to Central, I think. All of these young people, man.
Yeah, and I have their names. I'm just trying to get the flyer up right now, so give me one more second.
And Soleil, who goes to Complex, and Soleil is going to be performing at this weekend, also along with us. Saida Carter is doing a event for those young Complex students. So she's part of Saida's drama club, who, there's amazing students there. We had a couple of them. Soleil and I think Derry-Ness was part of Saida Carter's group. So we had an excellent group of young people. Bulletproof Dreams was the high school students. Fall, the one I mentioned that was the romance, was with we wanted to also target not just high school, but youth that were a little bit older. We feel like this is still a demographic that's, still in danger, right? After you leave high school, there's still, you're still a child.
Mm-hmm.
Not a child, but you're still developing.
You still got a lot to learn.
Yes.
And us being older, I know when I was at that age, I wish I had some sort of creative outlet or something that I could do. And so we wanted to create that opportunity for them to come along and be a part of that project. So that film was actually written by a young lady, Angelina Lang. And she was the catalyst for us doing that. We got all of our cast as younger people. We had some people who came on as production assistants who were in that age range. And we created that film with those older kids.
Yeah, and real quick, let me just call out their full names. So we have Deshaun Bates, Nicole Golden, Shakima Bastian, Jaquan Francis, Tyresha Stapleton, Leighton Jacobs, Jasani Francis, and Uriah Chitoli. That was for the movie Fall. And then Bulletproof Dreams, we have Dalmari Holder, Nazira Gordon, Soleil Rogers, Darrenis Sanchez, Ernest T. Jackson III, and Priya Mittal.
Ernest.
Yeah.
That's a lot of young talent there.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And we had such an amazing time with these young people. And, with our summer program, shout out once again to the Center for Educational Growth. It was 2 parts to it. The students had a portion where they got to do research on gun violence. So they actually had a teacher that assisted them to do the research, to really understand. They really dove deep to understand the rates of gun violence that is going on in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And then after that...
Hold on. That Ivy League language there about dove deep. You think I didn't hear it, right? That dove deep. That perfect articulation on an island show like this. It was like they went into a deep dive.
No.
They dove deep. You think I didn't hear that part? No, that's awesome. I like that.
Yes,
I want to commend you for the nice English, man.
Let me tell you something. My grandmother, she always said, you could keep your dialect, but you gonna always speak proper.
Because we know it as a deep dive,
right?
But to hear you, I never heard it like that. Even though that's how it's supposed to say.
I can switch it up.
Dove deep. I just don't want you to know that I'm paying attention.
No.
Yeah.
So
That's
they did a deep dive then. Yeah, and I am so happy that after that they were able to they were able to produce these monologues.
Mm-hmm.
And these monologues are so moving, so thought provoking that these kids really put their all into that. And then the second half, we really got to teach the kids just behind the camera and how to be behind the camera in front of the camera. So these kids actually held these cameras. They actually wrote this film, from start to finish. These kids really put their all into it. So we're really proud of the product that they've put forth.
That's good to hear. Talk about the actual production though. Where you got the idea, it's a conceptual thing, and then you now have to make it real. Talk about that, Mr. Cannon. That transition from paper concept to actual, performance.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. The hardest part was the paper part, but it was fun. But it was really tough to get something written down with a group and have everybody's ideas kind of fit into the script. The production side I felt like one of the funner parts. We had our brother Kevin Moulinar, also known as Kevin Factor, creator of Sand. So he's on the project with us. If you guys haven't seen Sand, definitely go check out Sand on YouTube. So he keeps on dropping new projects. But he was on our production team. He was the director of photography. We had Malik Gomes, who was our gaffer, who was teaching the kids lighting. And then we had Justin Hodge, who was our audio engineer, who was making sure our audio was right and teaching the kids how to do the audio. So basically, just like a set, you had to get on your team, right? You were going to be camera crew. You were going to be doing production management with Diana, because Diana, manages our whole production. Then we have, you're either going with Kevin, you're going with Malik, you're going with Justin. So they broke up into teams, and they just settled in on what they were doing. And they had so much fun. Like, that was the fun part. And what was great about the younger kids is, like, they were, because it was their story, they came to work. So they weren't just sitting around like, what do I do? They were like, all right, we got to get this done. They came with a certain energy that made it just a really fun experience. So, I mean, what can I say? We had a good time.
Yeah.
So dope dive over here.
We do.
Funner.
Funner.
And you'll say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like
a lot
that.
funner.
I like that. Yeah. So, because of this success, what are you thinking?
Man, that's a question. Like, I was asking myself that this morning. Like, so right now we're here because we are doing another screening at CMCA. And this one feels more like a celebration, because we did really good the first time. I was just so happy with how the community received the films and the kids and what we were doing. And we have to do it again. We have to, try to expand to include more kids with the screenings like that seeing the film. It's like, you release films on, or you release content on like social media and just like on Facebook or whatever, and people just see it. It feels like when you cook a meal and you just finish cooking the meal and then somebody puts it in the microwave and then eats it. But when we were at the theater, it felt like we just finished the meal. It was hot prepared and it was served the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole experience is something that we want to keep on building on and growing. And one thing that we're looking at, because one of our partners was Caribbean Cinema, the theater, and they just been so loving to us, is we'd love to go to St. Thomas next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you ready to go across the water?
Let's go.
Yeah,
Deep dive deep.
Dove deep.
That's past it.
Dive deep though.
Yeah. So talk about that relationship you're building with Caribbean Cinema.
Yeah. So
because you need it.
We need it. So
yeah, it's not a luxury. It's a necessity.
Yeah. So how it came about was one of our partners is CMCA, the Caribbean Museum Center of Arts.
Yeah.
Right. So they were able to talk to them, and then once they were amazing. Like they just were like open to what we were doing. Like the community has really embraced what we've been doing. So it hasn't been like, we just, came through and did like this amazing work by ourselves. Like these partners and these people have helped us. So they've really, once we did the screening and everything, they're like, hey, we like this. We, want to encourage you to do more. And that's just been it. They've just been very nice.
Yeah. I think they definitely felt our energy, and they saw that what we were trying to do. Yeah. And they were able to see the pictures, and they were able to, I guess, hear the responses. And I think they gravitated towards us, and they just want to help more.
And shout out to the community, because when we did the screening, the community came. Like it wasn't like the seats were like, we were packed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had people outside, and like, all right, we had to show the films twice. Like it was a wonderful experience. So I think all things just fell in the right place.
Yeah.
When I used to be in the political arena, I would have my events, the fundraising events. I used to have butterflies in your stomach because you don't want your event to be a flop. What was that like when I had this screening, and you're hoping, you see shaking your head already. You're hoping people come and all that stuff. What talk about that?
I'm laughing because I'm looking at George, because every time we have an event, I feel like he has the most nerves, and then I always can feel it from him, and I'm just like, oh my god. And it's like, I'm the one that's always like, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great. I think for me, and I'll let George speak for himself, I always have an optimism, and I feel like, when you're positive people trying to do positive things in the community, I feel like people can feel your energy, and we really came with positive intentions to put something for these young people, and I think that the community could have felt that, because I was feeling it too. So I felt positive. There's always going to be nerves. I'm not going to be like, I didn't have any, but there's always going to be nerves. But I always felt that this was going to be received in the way that it was.
We're going to take a break, come back, and we got Ms. Diana Diaz here, along with Mr. George Cannon from Blue Tar Productions. They just had 2 screenings for Bulletproof Dreams and Fall. 12 minutes and 24 minutes long, respectively. We'll take a break. We'll also be joined by one of their partners who's outside and be coming into the studio as well. So we'll be back right after this.
WTJX, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands, is underwritten in part by Bank of St. Croix, offering Elevate Checking, a mobile banking app, and direct deposit. Online at bankofstcroix.com. Bank of St. Croix is proud to support public media in the Virgin Islands.
You know a good story when you hear it. Makes you feel, laugh, think. Sometimes you get a little teary. I'm Scott Simon, host of Weekend Edition Saturday, and each week we bring you stories from around the country and around the world. Stories that help you learn, make you smile, catch you by surprise. Please join us every Saturday for the news you need and the stories you won't forget.
Weekend Edition, Saturdays at 9 a.m. on WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
The Virgin Islands Energy Office is committed to delivering relief now to Virgin Islanders who want help ensuring their energy security. As the territory's sustainable energy policy lead, the office is working to put in place the infrastructure needed to support the adoption of electric vehicles, residential battery energy storage solutions, and the green workforce needed to service these technologies. Visit their website at energy.vi.gov about how you can access energy-efficient appliances and battery energy storage rebate programs.
This year we are celebrating 10 amazing seasons. From the waters of New England to the mountains of Utah, all the way up the West Coast, the country's most exciting chefs and food artisans join us to fish, forage, dive, and dig for the best local ingredients and help us create some unforgettable feasts. So please grab a plate and join us. You don't want to miss it.
Tune in Fridays at 4 p.m. on WTJX TV Channel 12.
I went back here and analyzed this. We've got the Blue Tarp Productions founders and here in Miss Diana Diaz and Mr. George Cannon III. We're also joined now by
Angelina Lang. I am a part of Blue Tarp Production and also the writer of the short film Fall.
What's the first name?
Angelina Lang.
Angelina Lang?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So we're talking about the butterflies, and you could George is a nervous wreck.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when more people come and then you see the response, then the butterflies die.
Yes.
A natural death.
A natural death.
George, talk about that.
Yeah. So Neville, I'm a pretty anxious guy. So this one definitely had a lot of anxiety. Diana and Angelina had to calm me down a couple of times. But like pretty early on for our screening at the theater, we had people start to file in. So it went from like no one's going to come anxiety to like, oh my God, there's going to be like too many people out here. Like, yeah. How do we get these tickets? Which is, good problems. But I think the anxiety didn't stop until like the whole thing stopped. But it was fun. Definitely a good time.
Ms. Lang, talk about that.
I had a little anxiety myself, so you are not alone, George. The turnout was great. It ended up having the whole theater filled out to the point where we had to have a second showing after. But the turnout was great. We were all nervous, but it ended up paying off in the end.
Well, being nervous is one thing. Showing it.
Oh yeah, facts.
Is something else. Some people could mask.
Yeah.
How they really feel deep down inside.
And Neville, can I tell you about this young lady here, Angelina?
Of course.
All right. So Diana and I, we did a very first screening at CMCA over a year ago for 2 short films that we were making. Blue Tarp was just making films, right? Mm-hmm. And then this young lady came to the screening, and there was a couple people there that wanted to act, and normally, but she came to us and she said, "I want to write." And for us doing this production stuff, like, oh my God, someone's gonna write, right? And not only did she say it, but she did it. She started writing for us, and then she gave us this amazing script that, honestly was a lot of the catalyst for us starting this Film Over Gun Violence program, because then we had this script that addressed the social issue eloquently, and came from a place of heart. So we were able now to say, all right, maybe we can address this social issue and also do production, and that's how a lot of this came to fruition. So I mean, Angelina has been wonderful and been an inspiration for us, and for us being a little older, helping us to tap into the younger generation a little bit. So shout out to her. She is amazing.
Now we got some Virgin Islanders who are in the film industry. Jordan Paul,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
he's out there in California.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not fine on this, but that's my sister's son.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's a small world.
He did a short film called Animals that he screened. Yeah, it was amazing, amazing work. Yeah.
And then we have the lady in St. Thomas who has that festival, that 48-hour festival.
Yeah, 48-hour film festival.
Larica Jude, right? Larica Jude. So are you linking with them? Are you trying to figure out how are you go, collaborate some resources and continue to build our presence?
Yeah, so we would love to. I mean, we want to collaborate with all of them. Like, shout out to Larica, because we started doing the film festival with her, like as participants, and that really inspired us. Jordan came down. He talked with us. He came to events with us. John Wheatley also did a program in St. Thomas just recently called the Film Academy, and they had they created great films with students. I'm supposed to reach out to him a little later, but everybody has been welcoming, and we want to also be welcoming, because you're right? The way how we develop this is together. So we need to talk a little bit more. I'm for it. I love it, and I love what all of them are doing. And they've, if I missed it, also I want to shout out Kevin, because Kevin is also doing his thing. So
Kevin who?
Kevin Factor, Kevin Moulinard, creator of Sand.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Go watch Sand on YouTube.
Yeah, so we already started collaborating with a couple of other creatives. So George said, Kevin Molinar is one. Then Malik Bascom, he owns Big Wave VI. Mm-hmm. Then we also have done.
Stop you! I gotta stop you right there.
Bascom.
Not comb. If we're not saying like a U.
Bascom.
Malik Bascom. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the. I go work with you.
Thank you for the Crucian 101.
Yeah. I go work with you.
And then Soundstage VI. We've also
shout out to Ori and George Soundstage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've already collaborated with some.
But we definitely want to collaborate with more. So those guys that you called out, we love them, and we would love to work with them to develop any type of project and collaborating for sure.
Miss Lang, what's your future? You gonna be an actor?
I don't like to go in front of the camera.
No,
I like to stay behind. So I would like to continue writing.
Screenwriting is what you're into?
That's what I like doing, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I eventually want to learn more behind the camera.
I want to screenwrite a movie.
You should. Why not?
We had a Virgin Islander back in the day by the name of William Leidersdorf, who was born in the Danish West Indies, and he founded San Francisco. So I think that would be a great story. So his history is well known, but actually piecing it together is where that's the hard work, right? Yeah. And then when you're into screenwriting, that means you gotta think of maybe like 150 scenes in an hour and 20-minute, hour and 40-minute movie. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got this bad habit of liking to go big and then working my way down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where in reality, we should really start with the 12 and 24-minute deals that you guys are into. But I think his story is a great story that actually needs a little bit more profile. I'm a history major, so I like to read and all that stuff. So I want to do that.
Let's talk.
I want
for real. Yeah.
I want Virgin Islanders to do the 300-year anniversary of the 1733 revolt in St. John, which is closing up on us real quickly. It might be 8 years from now, but it's going to be here in no time, right? So that's something that I just want for us to be the ones to tell the story, not folks coming in and making money off of our ancestors.
Yeah, I agree.
What they did, and because that was arguably the most important revolt/revolution in the Caribbean, in the Western Hemisphere. I think it was the first. If not the first, it was the second. So that's very, very important. Then we got some other ones coming up. The governor was on yesterday. He mentioned, commemorations that are going to take place. In 2028, we're going to have the 150th year anniversary of Contract Day.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Mary, Queen Agnes, what's the next one?
Queen Matilda.
Queen Matilda and Queen Susanna, the fourth one. There was a fourth one as well that we found out about. All about. So, as a history buff, right, these things have value. They mean something to us. I'm not just saying me. I would want to think they mean something to I as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the things. I think there's a research component that's necessary in making films because you want it to be as true as possible. No, you got fiction films, I understand that, but those type of documentary type films, I that's where I would like to at least some of my time that I waste, just chilling.
That's wonderful.
So
let's do it.
And then there's another lady that came on. Her last name is Golden. Okay. I interviewed her here on our Arch Thursday. She came in here about 2 or 3 years ago. Her first name begins with an A. I'm gonna look that up. She was on a panel down at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts around Emancipation Week. So y'all have some avenues, that you can move, that you could tackle. Not that gun violence isn't something that you should ignore, but there are other areas to explore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we're definitely open to it. I think what has been our thing lately has been social issues. We've tapped into postpartum, gun violence. What else have we done yet?
I mean, that's what we've done so far.
Yeah, but we've got more, So yeah, that's been our thing so far. But yeah, we're definitely open to other genres.
Break down what you do with screenwriting, Miss Lang. So for those who are listening, without giving away your secrets.
So this was my first ever screenwrite. So the initial thing I did was sit down. I had a conversation with myself, and
Did you answer yourself when you were having this conversation, when you were talking?
Not out loud, but I did answer myself. I wrote it out on paper, and I just put my emotions on paper. And after that, it just came naturally, and I formatted it to how it needs to be formatted, and I showed it to George and Diana, and from there we just edited. It took us like couple weeks, months to really finalize and finish it. Yeah. But that was
also there's a lady by the name of Lavon Bell. I think she did something up in Denmark.
Yes.
She actually did the Queen Mary. Right, there's a Queen Mary statue or something up there in Denmark. So
and I
think I remember as many people as I can come to me.
Yeah, she's also I think tried to bring that monument here to the Virgin Islands. She's an artist. I follow her.
So, what's going on with Ayo, man? I mean, Ayo, big chat now. How are you dealing with fame, local fame? Wow. Because it is what it is. If people came out to see the movie and you had to show it twice, that means you're doing something right? So here's some suggestions. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't get a big ego. Begging you, please, right? You could have the ego, right? Keep it at home, right? You stand up in front of the mirror and say, yes. You can do that, you know what I'm saying? But if you go there, right, then people start to sense, wait a minute, I can't really approach them no more because they're big like that. In a small community, you're dead.
Right.
You could be that way on the mainland, because sometimes you need to keep people at a distance, right?
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about, knowing that you have the wherewithal. What's the next project? Got to raise funds. Let's just be honest here. This is a very expensive venture from time to time. Not everybody's just going to volunteer time. Talk a little bit about that. Because you don't want to necessarily be small scale forever.
I'll start, and George can tap in.
And then I got the name of the lady.
Okay.
Hold on, though.
Yeah.
Frandel Gerard just hooked me up. Angela Golden Bryan. She did a short film on Queen Mary.
Shout out to Frandel.
That was about 2 or 3 years ago.
Frandel. Yeah,
Frandel hooked me up with that. Morning, Frandel. Thank you. Yeah.
So, I think we are really down to earth people. We're really open to work with everybody. So I think even with that approach, I think that definitely speaks volumes about us. We're absolutely approachable. We're very open-minded in terms of, like, if you have a script and you bring us the script, we're going to read it. We'll dissect it. We'll see what we can do with it. That alone is our approach, to begin with. Secondly, just in terms of if anybody wants to contribute to, because this is just the beginning, where we just got our feet wet. So we are we're ready. We want to work. We're ready to go. So if anybody wants to sponsor, towards this program, because we're doing the program again during the summer, they can reach out to us, and I'll just really quickly say our platforms. You can email us at bluetarpproductions with a S @gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Blue Tarp Production Films, or you can follow us on Instagram at Blue Tarp Productions.
George?
Yeah, so immediately after we've done the big screening, now we're doing this screening at CMCA. People, please come out tomorrow night for CMCA to check that out. Our goal is to be sustainable. We don't want to be a flash in the pan. Oh, they did that one thing that was pretty good. We want to continue to have this go on every year, and for people to expect this level of films that we're going to produce with the young people for the community. So yeah, it's back to the grind, and last year was a bit of a grind. You talked about getting funding. That was a journey, and we were lucky to have a lot of great sponsors that helped us out. And Diana, pull up the sponsors for me when you get a chance. Mm-hmm. And we have to, we got a grant from the CFVI, which was very helpful. But now we have to do all that over again. We have to secure the funds and, make sure that we can pay our guys. Our guys would do it for free, but, we want to pay people. Like it's really hard as, creatives have to give away their products for free. People expect this stuff for free, expect you to, come shoot or, just give away the product. Like, I mean, the whole YouTube culture where we just give away our videos, like, anyway, I'll digress. But,
No, don't digress. No, I'm serious, don't digress. I mean, we're there in the culture, right? That YouTube culture where exposure has value, right? But getting away with hard work is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know about the sweat and tears that I put in, sometimes blood, you know what I mean, to make, something from scratch into something that's getting rave reviews and I gotta show it over again. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying, but always, put a dollar figure to your work.
That's what we want.
That's why I talking about. We'll take a break, come back. We got George Cannon III, Angelina Lang, and Diana Diaz, Blue Tarp Productions here in the studio. Be back right after this on Arch Thursday here on Analyze This.
Virgin Islands Police Department receives dozens of requests from citizens and insurance companies each day to obtain crash reports. VIPD now makes it easier for motorists to get their crash reports at crashdocs.org. Crashdocs.org eliminates the need for citizens to make in-person visits to the Virgin Islands Police Department or wait for business hours to access reports. They can visit the secure site 24/7 at crashdocs.org, enter their report reference number, last name, and date of the accident to locate and quickly obtain documentation. Reports can take up to 14 business days after the incident. Citizens who are unable to locate their reports can visit the Records Bureau to obtain their accident report. Call the Records Bureau at 340-774-2211 on St. Thomas and 340-778-2211 on St. Croix. This message is brought to you by the Virgin Islands Police Department.
The PBS NewsHour has a rich legacy of in-depth reporting and strong storytelling.
Only 4 people have sat in that chair before us, and the enormity of this moment is not lost on me. People turn to us because they know they can hear from trusted sources of information and news.
That won't change a bit, even as the faces behind the desk change.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Bennett.
And I'm Amna Navaz.
Weekdays at 7 p.m. on WTJX TV, Channel 12.
You know a good story when you hear it. Makes you feel, laugh, think. Sometimes you get a little teary. I'm Scott Simon, host of Weekend Edition Saturday, and each week we bring you stories from around the country and around the world. Stories that help you learn, make you smile, catch you by surprise.
And we're back here on Analyze This. It's Arch Thursday, and we got the Blue Tarp Productions, big shots here in the studio. George Cannon, they thought your people them is Cannon and Garden, right? Your mother's a Garden, right?
She's a Gordon, man.
Garden.
The last.
You're not Yankee twang, you get about Gordon. Garden. She's a Garden. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, she's a Gordon. She's a Gordon. Out of the West?
Yeah.
Out of the West.
Yes, sir.
Miss Lang, who's your people them?
Along.
I set myself up for that one. I like that one. What be walk and rest or what part of St. Croix?
Tipperary.
East
side, yeah.
East side, okay, good. And Ms. Diaz.
I am the
Barry?
one. Yeah. Everything.
You know me.
Yes, I know.
You know he and I
know.
were business partners back in the day.
Yes. The only Diaz with an S. With an
S.
Me and my dad.
Yeah, Barry Diaz. Great musician, great computer guru and all that stuff. So so that's good. So the strength of this show is my audience, right?
Yes.
So I mentioned the William Leitersdorf thing I talked about, right? So one of my listeners, Lisa, she said that Dr. Highfield, I don't know if you've ever heard that name, he's a great historian that taught here at UVA, right? Excuse me. His son and I were best friends when we went to St. Dunstan's way back in the day before I even born. And she said that his dad, Dr. Highfield, had done the research on William Leitersdorf, because he had written a book. So I gonna read it out and see if our imagination could think about putting a story like this together. Just a quick 2 paragraphs. It said, born on St. Croix, and apparently he didn't live long. He lived from 1810 to 1848. He's a merchant entrepreneur who was born on St. Croix. Altoona. He had Jewish background from a city of Altoona near Hamburg, right? So his father was a merchant and a sugar factor. His mother was Maria Ann Spark, a woman of color, said to be from the island of Dominica in the French West Indies. In some records, she is classified as a Carib Indian. Their son William was of swarthy complexion but had Hispanic features, so passed as a Creole. right? So all of that, you know, your creative mind, I could just think of, right?
Yeah.
Who you're looking for to fill this role,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And said, life in California, so having grown up as a free person of color on St. Croix, in an adopted family, he was perceived as Creole. He was accepted into an apprenticeship in New Orleans, right? And I hope I didn't notice how I pronounced that, right? We grew up saying New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
But they did a correctness at New Orleans, right? Where he became a naturalized U.S. citizen. That's another part of the movie, right? Another screen, and one of the different, areas, right? After unrequited love affair with with American woman, he took to sea and ended up in what was to become San Francisco, where he became one of the earliest settlers and property owners. The region at the time belonged to Mexico. So that's more scenes again that I could have some fun with, right? And in order to enter into the lucrative trade, he became a Mexican citizen. Wow. Another scene again. In turn, the Mexican government granted him some 35,000 acres of land, on which the state of California eventually originated. From that start, Lighter Store operated a shipping business. So, to know that we had a native Danish West Indian do all of that, moving around, and then settled in what was at the time Yerba Buena. That's the first name for San Francisco. Stories like these, and the reason why the stories need to be told is because their foundational education happened here. The Danish people, right? One thing that they embrace is education. And that's why Alexander Hamilton, who was actually before William Leitersdorf, that's why he was so influential as being a founding father of what is modern day America. So the reason why I wanted to go there is, you got to feel good about yourself and our history. You being productive young Virginians is not by accident. Don't let anybody fool you. Well, I just happened to fall in love with screenwriting and I got into it. No. It's in your blood.
Right.
Intravenous is the word we're looking for. So I just want you to feel good about what you're doing. Don't stop. I mean, things are going to happen along the way. You have life issues and all that stuff. But you got a lot to offer. And I just wanted to put that on the record this morning here and analyze this Arch Thursday. So 12-minute movies, 24-minute movies, I guess 40 minutes. That's what you're looking at. The next
Roughly.
step. Or you going 12-minute increments, or you go to 36? What's the deal?
Oh man, so we.
That's what's it to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do want to do a feature film eventually. I think to do a feature length it's got to be at least 60 minutes. But that is something that we will have to develop as we're still running the Film Over Gun Violence program and doing these films about social issues. So, that's a goal. We definitely, we're going to do it. So we're manifesting it. It's going to happen. So sooner than later, because that's how we've been operating. We've been knocking things out as a team. So we're going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Ms. Lang?
Well, George is a director, so I am going with his flow. I believe we will reach there eventually. Like George said, that's the goal, and I can't wait till we reach that goal, honestly.
National Endowment of the Arts is an entity that works with entities like yourself, promoting the arts and all that stuff. Are you doing our research? The grants, looking at all that stuff, of course, we got administration now who wants to freeze things and all that, but can't give up hope.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We're definitely
looking at film festivals to promote your product.
So that's the next thing, right? And this is something where I'll be very frank. We are learning as we go, and right now, distribution is something that we're trying to figure out, right? What is the best way for us to share these films with the world, right? And film festivals is something we're looking at now too. Rental film festivals, we even considered giving it away for free, and just So we're I'm gonna be frank on the radio. We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
But it seems like film festivals. I think our film is good enough where we could compete in some festivals, and we could see where we could go. I what we've been able to do is give ourselves these different experiences that's made us feel more confident in our ability to make films as filmmakers, as writers, as DPs, as all of that. So I can just imagine what will happen if we get accepted into a film festival, we go over there, and maybe we win an award. Like, everybody's gonna feel like we are this. Like, a lot of people say, oh, you're trying to be a filmmaker, you're trying to be a writer. Like, let's manifest that we are. Let's be that. We are that, you know.
Yeah.
We were on the same screen as Ridley Scott in Gladiator. We were there, and if you're in the room, you belong there.
Yeah.
So we're trying to move with that type of energy.
Yeah, and what I like just about us is that when we do things, we really do, like, we're really trying to, like, do the research. We're really trying to be professionals we are professionals at this, but we're trying to, because we are teaching young people, you know, so we want as much knowledge. And you mentioned, you know, just with our history, even when talking about our history, if we were to do that, we would, I just know us, we would hire a historian. We will have to, like, dive deep. You know, we take this very seriously, and whatever we do, you know, we want to put our best foot forward.
And this is, again, why we we sincerely welcome collaboration, because like, yeah, what we've learned from doing the Film Over Gun Violence program is it takes a team to make these greater products. And if our team can expand and we can, you know, bring all these other great filmmakers and creators on the island together to help us make a unified product, I mean, it's just going to be amazing. So we're on that.
Yeah.
I was looking up the number one film festival there is.
Yeah.
Cannes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Cannes Film Festival is incredibly elitist.
Yeah.
Which means that normal people like me typically don't have a shot at attending and watching the films.
Yeah.
You can't buy tickets to attend the festival. You have to get accredited, either by getting invited, for the rich and famous in parentheses, or by applying for the plebs, like me. But they said the Festival de Cannes is primarily reserved for film professionals and the trade press. And I think y'all are film professionals now.
We are. And the Cannes is one of, like, thousands and thousands of film festivals. So, I mean,
limited to Cannes.
Yeah. If they want to be, if they
want to be uppity, they could stay that way. They got others they could go to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Jordan had told me he was at a film festival in LA. There's a big one in LA as well. I think there are a number of ones in LA, but there's also one in St. Lucia that he went to.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So
there's one in Trinidad.
Yeah. Or maybe that's the one he went to. I'm not sure, but there ones. But that's part of it. I think y'all need to get out.
Yeah.
And let them know, you know what you do, where you're from, and then promote the territory to get them here.
Definitely.
And then once they get here, then they're seeing the beauty. They're thinking about, maybe I want to shoot some of my stuff, you know, here in the Virgin Islands. So that's just a suggestion from me,
yeah,
you know, in that regard. So
Neville, you gotta come out and see the film, man.
Yeah, I gotta do that.
Yes.
I gotta do that.
Yes.
When's the next? Is there another screening? And what's the next project you're working on?
So the next screening is going to be at CMCA tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Come through, CMCA. Yeah.
Down in the West?
In the West.
Okay.
It's always blessed.
7 take it easy, big guy. Me and Jomo made the judge. You know Jomo, right? You know Jomo, that's your father. That's your father, not father, right? He'd always tease us and say, the wise man come from the east, but the best man come from the west, right? So I got to let you know, no. The wise man and the best man come from the east. So we have fun with that. You know what I'm saying? But so tomorrow, CMC tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
7 o'clock tomorrow night?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I real quick just shout out our sponsors just before?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we want
I know that I set the record for saying shout out on the show this morning. Like,
Oh, what was the previous record?
we love to thank our.
You crushed the record so badly that
I love it.
We've forgotten.
We want to. I love it.
Shout out. A plaque on the wall.
Shout out.
Yeah, we are
keep
so,
shouting out.
We are so thankful.
Winning awards already.
Yes. I like to thank God. Okay. So our sponsors, VIA Council on the Arts Community, the Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands, Ocean Point Terminals, Heavy Materials, and then also again, thank you to the theater, the Caribbean Theater.
Yeah, and GC Investment Management should also be. Yeah,
Okay.
shout out to them. Everybody.
Good morning, Senator. I had the pleasure of attending the premiere in St. Croix and seeing these poignant films and the extraordinary achievement of this great organization. I believe a program should be created and funded by the local government that ensures students throughout the USVI see these films as part of the school curriculum. Thank you for showcasing these rays of lights in our community. Talking about funding, this is where the USVI government should support this proven program. So,
shout out to that person.
More shout outs.
Thank you.
Your fan base continues to grow. And I want to congratulate Alayo, the firm of Cannon, Lang, and Diaz, also known as Blue Tarp.
Yeah.
Productions, 2 films.
Yeah, film over gun violence.
In the bucket. Film over gun violence program. Bulletproof Dreams, which is a 12-minute film, and Fall, which is a 24-minute, as we say in the industry, joint, right? 24 minutes. So tomorrow night, see I Dong in the West.
For sure.
7 o'clock, right? Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. That's the blue building, Strand Street. You can't miss it.
Yes,
How long screening for both? Tomorrow?
Yeah, screening for both. Yeah, we'll even play a little bit of Sand by Kevin Moulinar, also known as Kevin Factor.
Mm-hmm.
So also watch that on YouTube, but we'll play some Sand as well.
Okay. Well, glad to have you on, man. Congrats.
Yes.
Thank you.
And shout out to you.
And I hope,
yeah, man, appreciate you guys for always having us.
I hope that we dove deep.
Definitely dove
into the discussion this morning, and don't forget Contract Day, 1878, and the Revolt, 1733. We got 2 commemorations coming up in 3 and 8 years, respectively. Keep that in mind when you sit down and think about something to do long term, and maybe if in fact you could reach out to mainland folks with the resources to be the conduits to make it happen, and tell the story. Okay? Sure. Thank you very much to all 3 of you. Thank you, Delegate Stacey Plaskett, for joining us in hour number 1. Thank you to the support system, Rafi Encarnacion, and everybody up at the mountaintop. Arch Thursday in the book for Thursday, January 30th, 2025. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Is underwritten in part by the Virgin Islands Energy Office, powering policies and programs for a more sustainable tomorrow. The Virgin Islands Energy Office, proud to support public media in the